we do have the finals best of 5 here at eSports with Pata from Clan Pag versus Matisse, also from Clan Pag.
Yep, so we're going here into the first of our best of 5 finals. $200 up for grabs for the winner here. It's Matisse versus Pata. Both myself and Ghost completely wrong about what this final would look like. Well, it's half wrong. I think we both had Cassell predicted to be here, but knocked out at an early stage by Pata, who has now proven his quality in the games. And you see here, Hydrogenics. Well, I was a little off of the metal count. It's actually 258.
Jesus.
It's a huge planet, a 900 radius planet. And as I said, I think we're going to see a huge amount of air, but this is very different from the other maps we have seen so far. Are you thinking air as well, Ghost?
Yeah. Air. I think air is the only choice on a map of this size. It is absolutely friggin' massive. To think that anything else besides air would be going on. I could see maybe a really large naval push at some point in this match. I could also see a really big, a bunch of millions of docks raids going on. But the idea that tanks will ever be used in this match, I think, is just something to scoff at.
Well, both players now spawning in, and let us see what they're kicking off with. We are seeing a bot factory going up from Matisse and a bot factory going up from Pata. I think that will quickly transition into air, indeed, Matisse's second factory is air, although I always expect to see it usually in the first 3. Thus far, Pata has not revealed his wider build order, in fact, rushing out a Faber. Yeah, I
mean, I like this choice. There's just no way that even a bomber on a map like friggin' Hydrogen X facility 5407 1v1 with 258 blessed metal all over this planet, there's just no way a bomber would ever get there quicker than you could think. Plus, the idea that rushing out this bomber, or the fabricator, there's a commander there to protect it immediately. A commander can immediately one-shot a bomber that would ever think to get close to these fabricators. So even the idea that rushing a bomber, I mean, just trying to get something over there would just take its sweet jolly time.
Yeah, in actual fact, Pata not even moving to get a second factory. I think he's going to rush tier 2. I think we're going to see a tier 2 rush here. He's going very heavy on the combat fabbers. He's building up a lot of energy. We're going to see a lot of fabbers. We're going to see he's going to get this energy for them, and then he's going to go straight to tier 2. That's my prediction based on the fact that he hasn't spat out. Well, he's got an air factory going up, perhaps to protect himself, but I wouldn't be surprised to see an early tier 2 from him.
I agree. Tier 2, he is just absolutely prepping for this tier 2, and I honestly think that's the best choice. I mean, on a map like this, you have plenty of time to do anything in the world. I mean, just travel time for docks is probably about a good minute. Bombers are probably a good 10 to 15 seconds, but I mean, that travel time alone is absolutely ridiculous. And we actually see Matisse here. I like this scouting plane. It's not going to really go for Pata's base, but I think he's just using it to patrol around and just kind of scout things out, really. And on a map like this, of this size, quantity, and shape, I mean, vision is going to be absolutely critical.
Yeah, I think he's checking there to see if anything's incoming towards him to get an idea of what it is Pata's up to, or if Pata's perhaps trying to sneak out some cutting air fabbers. But in actual fact, Pata not going for the tier 2 that we thought. He's got the energy storage up, and he did have a number of air factories queued up. I wonder if that was planned, because I'm surprised to see quite that much energy going up from him, especially as it's Matisse who's going heavy on the fabbers right now, and not Pata.
It might have just been I bet he's got. There's a strategy. There's something going on here. I mean, these guys they're Pag. I'm going to use their name as an excuse as why things aren't happening as we would normally predict them to happen.
I think that's a very bold claim there, saying that there's actually some kind of strategy going on.
In an RTS, that's just unheard of.
These kind of bold predictions and more can be found here at these kind of tournaments at esports.com.
Well, we see now Matisse doing the exact same thing. So I think Pata was just sort of starting his mass energy before Matisse, just because he's such a better player.
Well, it's working out. Well, Matisse taking the eco lead, but Pata pulling ahead now in factories. So he's getting that production lead over Matisse. Matisse going for well, a lot of combat focus. It's looking very subcom down there right now, with all this reclaim going on around the base.
I was gonna say, I like this. This is just like, there's just so much metal here, and there's just so much economy. Like, this isn't really a very slimmed down forge or a very lean match on Duat. I mean, everything, you can, sure, go ahead, take half the map. There's only, you know, 137 other metal that I can take on my half of the map. Go for it, sure. I'll just nuke you. Whatever.
Matiz has done the first scout of the game. He's had a peer into what Patar's up to. He's now seen everything that was in that base with his hummingbird flyby. And I don't think Patar... No, Patar has absolutely no idea what Matiz is doing. I'm sure he's guessed that it's probably mass air, but he hasn't seen much besides that. And there it is, the Tier 2 factory, as you pinged. Going for an early Tier 2, not perhaps a big surprise. We've seen that Patar likes to get out his early Tier 2 factories. Something that Matiz used to like, but I think Matiz is going to go more for a heavy Tier 1 presence.
I like this Tier 2 era. In this situation, with this sort of kind of gameplay against these caliber of players, this should work quite heavily in Patar's favor. And the idea... Oh, Smokey's gonna be pissed. There's a forest fire on Patar's side. Gonna start burning down a whole lot of metal. And I still like this era. In this case, the mobility is going to be absolutely critical, especially for, I mean, trying to kill someone like Matisse, where his money's on his line. Matisse is rearing for $200. He wants everything that he can get his hands on, and it's just a good choice in this case.
Well, just to explain to those who joined late, so one of the things we noted early on is that Matiz is the only individual in this tournament who makes his living from esports. So there's a lot at stake for Matiz in this particular tournament. This is part of his income, so he's going to be fighting extra hard, I think, to try and claim this victory. But another, yeah, as you say, nice move there by Patar, once again starting another fire to try and shut down some of the expansion that Matiz is doing. Though I think with the number of trees, he's going to have to start that fire much closer to home to really impact Matiz. A very defensive build actually coming in from Patar here. He's in this choke point near his base, setting up a third turret now. And both players are sort of nibbling around the edges with bots, but Matiz sitting around the back of Patar's base there with a few bots, missing an easy combat fabric kill actually. Surprised to see him miss that, but Patar just really playing it close, and I don't think Matiz does not know about that Tier 2 factory yet. Oh, very sneaky.
Now, I was going to say, though the Tier 2 is finally going up here for Patar, I really do like Matiz's mass metal expansion and mass just economy grab here, so that when they finally do get to the mid to sort of late game here, he's going to be in a really dominant and commanding position. The thing is, though, literally the only reason I think these two players haven't started killing each other is just because they're so far apart. Though Matiz did just see the Tier 2 from Patar, his air bomber did just happen to fly over there, I think, just to do some kind of YOLO scouting in, and I mean, he's just going to be in a really good spot, knowing that there is Tier 2 eventually going to be coming out here. He just needs to kind of get some more security over himself, but this is a lot of air here for Patar.
Well, Matiz is just miles ahead in terms of eco here, and he's got a Tier 2 vehicle factory surprisingly queued up, the slowest of the Tier 2s. Wasn't what I was expecting to see, but perhaps he's intending to drop down a teleporter, which is the only way I can see that those are going to come into play without getting chewed up by air. But yeah, Patar using his air dominance now just to fly around this base. Is that turret built yet? No, it is not. So
No.
Oh, he's only got the one bomber though, and over comes Matiz's air force. All he needs to do is take out that bomber, and that air force is effectively useless. But Patar has to get some wins now, because Matiz, this is his map. This is the kind of map Matiz loves, big, macro orientated, and Matiz is booming like a monster on it right now.
I was gonna say, the only way that I could see Patar really kind of securing this the win is effectively his air becomes so snowbally. I mean, he's basically throwing mountains of snow at him. The problem, though, is I think what Matiz is going for is he's going to secure a lot of metal, guarantee that it's there and not going to die off, though these dogs here from Patar are kind of just ignoring all the metal of the fabricator and just going for a base here. Don't really like that choice, but I think what he's going to be doing is securing a whole lot of metal, getting up a nice vehicle army, though he is still going for the mass dogs, and then effectively just right-click towards Patar's base. And since he is going for this very heavy air play, as is the kind of the default play for the PA God, excuse me, I mean, just Patar will never have the opportunity to actually attack him, just because there's so much anti-air, there's just so much defensive protection around it that, I mean, go ahead, drop the bomb on all my tanks. I've got plenty of health and I can kill all of your bombers off.
Well, we saw Patar losing the air war there over Matiz's naval factories. Matiz now getting into the water, and at the other end, the Black Patar doing the same thing. And certainly that could be useful against air because a lot of navy, there's a lot of anti-air on the naval side. Patar starting to use his tier 2 Kestrels now to do some raiding around the edges of Matiz base, and he's going to need that to close down this gap, which is growing. I mean, Matiz 21 factories to Patar 6 factories, and Matiz now got his tier 2. His tier 2 up, his vehicle fabbers are coming out and they're starting to boom his energy. They're going to be booming his metal again soon, and it's going to get really nasty really quickly for Patar. He's going to need to get some better wins. That tier 2 rush is not paying off for him.
I think it's just general map awareness. I don't know if Patar's kind of looked inside the base of Matiz here, but the only thing that he sees from what I'm looking at here is like 4 bot factories. He's never even seen the inside of his base. Patar really needs to kind of get some vision. I mean, like I said from the beginning here, map awareness, knowing what your opponent's doing, is going to be absolutely crucial for winning a large economic game, especially against a player that specializes in it.
Well, just look at the difference in map control as well. Patar's basically cleared his base, done his tier 2 rush, and then walled up. And Matiz is like, whatever, I don't care. And has just sent fabbers in every direction, take as much metal as he can, and completely overwhelmed Patar, because Patar's got his tier 2 up first. But it didn't matter, because Matiz had so much income at tier 1. He's even got docks out there now, raiding nicely, and the air force of Patar isn't competing at all. It's just... he was shooting down some docks there. Those air force have been destroyed. Patar stalling his economy like mad now. And Matiz's map control is such now that it's starting to sneak up on the base of Patar.
I think this is just a good old-fashioned mind game here. As I mentioned from, Pag Gods playing Pag Gods, mind games do set in. And this is one that I think Matiz played off flawlessly. He knew for a fact that Patar was going to go for this mass air. I mean, maybe not by a fact, but he definitely knew something was going to be going on here. And mass air was something that the PA gods are known for. So going with this heavy mass anti-air, mass expansion, go ahead, raid me. But here we go. We've got a bunch of anti-air, donks, tier 2, everything is already going towards Patar's base, and Patar just doesn't have the super snowball that he needs to win this game.
And I think this is a very smart play here, where he's basically using his vehicle factories as spinner production, which is something we haven't seen in previous games that's allowed Patar to get that dominance. Matiz is just going like, this is what vehicles are for now. The bots are actually the mainline units, and the vehicles are there to provide the anti-air support, which I'm going to need to actually cross the map in the first place. He's not even using his air to win this, to really beat Patar down. He's just using his air to stop Patar spreading out too much, and he's looking to win it with ground units. And we see some shellers actually following up behind her. You can really do with putting a teleporter down, I think, like just to close that distance. Just drop a teleporter, Matiz, get them across the map faster.
I'm not sure if I like this decision for tier 2 naval. I'm not too sure why Patar thinks that this will be what wins him the game, especially because there really isn't much besides other naval units coming towards him. I mean, Leveler or Leviathans will just, I don't think, really reach much of the base of Matiz. So in terms of actually killing anything, the only thing he'll be able to do is just kind of secure this island, which, I mean, Matiz has just been going hard on expansion. There just really hasn't been much pressure in terms of actual harassment of Matiz's economy, and I feel like Patar should have known this, especially playing against him for, at least a week or two. He should have known Matiz's specialty is that strong economic game, and, I mean, he really just played into Matiz's hand here.
Well, if we look at the distribution of Matiz's metal, I mean, Matiz is very much focused along the coast, so naval dominance for Patar would allow him to take out a significant portion of Matiz's economy, but I think as it goes on, and as Matiz moves its tier 2 fabbers out further and further, that's going to become less of a factor. But all of this metal in the centre, it's just the contested zone, and no one's taking it. But yeah, this tier 2 rush just isn't paying off for Patar because he hasn't been able to turn that into any real wins. The Phoenixes just aren't cost effective enough to justify a tier 2 rush to grab them against simply going for a mass tier 1 air approach. For those who don't know the Phoenix, it's also an interplanetary fighter, so you can use it to travel between planets, which is part of what contributes to its cost. So while it's an advanced fighter, part of that cost is the ability to move between planets, which means it's not as good against the tier 1 fighters you might expect.
See, what I was hoping he would use this tier 2 for, and that's why I called it a good shot, was he would actually use it for the fabricators, which is what I thought he was going for. It looks like he just went for these mass Phoenix, and he's finally just now getting this tier 2 out, which he needed about 7 minutes ago when he actually got the tier 2. So while I want to call it a good shot, I'm going to take it back sort of here and say it was a good call, but he didn't use it to what I was hoping he would use it for, which was the really strong economy, flying around, grabbing, you know, just the most bizarre spots of metal. I mean, just circle of metal that's chilling by this volcano could have been metal that he could have secured with the tier 2 fabricators, and now, I mean, Matisse just economically, he's got so much that it doesn't even matter that he's having to fight into tier 2. There's just so much Hummingbird that these Phoenix just can't handle them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think, well, Batar's actually, economically, Batar's starting to get back into this game now, especially with this tough naval presence that really Batar hasn't got anything he can contest that with. But I think Batar realises that in terms of army, he went for air dominance, and Matisse now owns the air, and that's really all he has. And Matisse already owns the land. I mean, look, there's ground force rolling in just to deliver the killing blow. Matisse very much not using it. Yeah, knock, says Matisse, who is a classic trash talker when it comes to these games. Yeah, he does love his banter. But yeah, he's used the air simply to counter the aggressive Kestrels and bombers that Batar has been using recently. But really, he's going to deliver the killing blow with ground forces, which have slowly travelled across the map here. And there's the GG.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It was nice to see that. This was nice. It was very different though. It was nice to see this map. It's something very different from the typical T1 map, and Matisse had an orbital laser ready. I think we're saying that Matisse's fear and non-understanding of orbital, and that he's got an orbital laser because, like, I don't want to have to worry about that. But yeah, I mean, there's this huge force. I'd like to see a teleporter go down for Matisse though. Just that huge
I don't know if there really is much that I could critique him on. I mean, everything else was just really solid. I mean, actually, if you stay in the chromocam here at 611, just chill right there. He was actually building on that island mass anti-air for just whatever reason.
On which island, sorry?
If you look in the naval, in between the... Well, actually, yeah, in between the bases of Patan and Matisse, he was starting to use the fabricators that he had for just mass anti-air for, I mean, I guess just sheer paranoia.
Well, it was always going to be an air dominant map. I think anywhere you can get enough AA down, you almost deny the area to your opponent, especially if it's against Matisse, who in himself was actually not putting down any aggressive air himself. Actually, AA, ground AA, can often be used to, if you can force confrontation in that area, can give you a significant edge when that fight happens. Perhaps something that Batar should have used his tier 2-4, really. He could have, if he had some flak down, he could have tried to, when Matisse came in, to try and shut down that air. A bit of flak in the base, and that would have forced Matisse to back right off.
I would have just liked to see, I mean, fabricators. I don't know why he decided to go for this very heavy Phoenix composition when, I mean, he just never had the bombers to really do anything with them. That, excuse me, economy from Patan would have been so much stronger from versus Matisse, just because it's, you know, he has the tier 2 and expanding, but Matisse just saying, forget it, dude, I'll just go for the mass tier 1, and it worked. I mean, mass tier 1 just absolutely bum rushed Patan's tier 2 that just really kind of sat on its thumbs, really not doing anything besides drinking some tea.
Yeah, well, I don't think, if you're going to go air, I don't think that tier 2 air is really the way to go. It's not, of all the tier 2s, it's definitely the weakest, and I think Matisse's choice to go from an advanced vehicle factory over advanced anything else, well, to go for advanced land, was a smart move because it gave him a more efficient fabber. And really, the power of tier 2 comes not from the troops; it comes from the economy you can generate from tier 2. And with the efficiency you get of a tier 2 land fabber versus an air one, this proved to be a really smart winning move. I mean, Matisse was just everywhere. This air that Batar had, he needed to use that to put pressure on Matisse and stop this massive expansion, and he didn't. And by the time he had his tier 2 up and he was out there, it didn't matter. Matisse was absolutely everywhere.
I think if we can go back and just kind of look at the game as an if kind of factor here, the tier 2 that he did make, I think he should have used it to just mass the metal, just get the massive energy, you know, so on and so forth, but then go for mass tier 1 air. Because if we do look at this composition that he was running, Matisse just had mass Hummingbird, because, you know, why even fight for the air if you can just kind of nullify it and just say, no, you're not allowed to have this, you know, you're going to go mass air, you're not allowed to have that. And that's exactly what he did. And the rest of it really just, he didn't have many, I mean, he had some spinners, but if he would have gone for that mass air bomber army that I think that Ptah was trying to get out. He could have done it. It's just he sat on his thumbs for so long, massing out those Phoenix, trying to just not have the trades that he was taking so nullify and just always equal 0 for both players. And especially for Matisse, when, you know, obviously trading out and you have the greater economy, that's no big deal for you because you can just rebuild them very easily, where Ptah just always was just kind of losing just a little bit, and that just kind of snowballed him, at least in, sorry, it snowballed Matisse into victory.